Russian President Putin announced a new weapon, but this time it's not like any other weapon. A missile that the West said was impossible, that the West said was science fiction. Today, Russia proves that the impossible has become reality. So imagine with me a cruise missile powered by nuclear energy that doesn't stop, can't be detected, can't be intercepted, flies around the Earth as it wishes, and can strike any target at any moment. And the most dangerous thing about all of this, it can remain airborne for days, not just hours. It's a fact. Similar to science fiction, so this news caused a shock in America and created confusion in NATO. Because this missile alone is capable of taking down the entire American air defense system in just a few minutes. So some people today say that this announcement is not just a show of force, but rather the first warning of a new world war approaching. What exactly is happening? That's what we'll talk about today. Stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings, and welcome to our program today in this renewed episode, God willing, from the Opinion series. Russian President Putin announced yesterday news that shocked the West, a shock for America and Europe. Putin revealed the most powerful missile in the world ever, a missile. It underwent the latest tests with great success, a unique missile with absolutely no equal in the world. To the extent that Russian President Putin said that when Russia started planning to manufacture and develop this missile, all the specialized experts, countries, top-level expertise, and so on, they said this was impossible. They said the idea was good and ambitious, but it was not realistic from a technical standpoint. They said it was impossible for this to happen. It's impossible to reach such technology. Even the Western media used to mock the idea, saying it was a failed project. They say that Russia doesn't even have the financial capabilities to reach this technology. Everyone in the world doubted that anyone could reach this technology and this type of missile. So what about Russia? An American expert named Jeffrey Lewis, an expert in American nuclear weapons, said that the weapon Russia is talking about today is science fiction. No one in the world thought it was possible for anyone to reach this technology, not just Russia, but the whole world. This missile that Russia announced is called Burevestnik, is a cruise missile powered by nuclear energy. This makes it completely unlimited. It can reach any point in the world, and even more than that, it can circle the Earth several times. Its capabilities are so extraordinary that it can be launched. For example, it can be launched today and left in the sky until the target is determined. After you decide. So Russia has now tested it for about 15 flight hours. And it flew for a distance of 14,000 kilometers in 15 hours. And when we talk about this distance, that's almost from Russia to the far south of Argentina. The missile exceeds all these American, Mexican, and Brazilian territories and so on, reaching the far south of Argentina. If it were launched today from the capital, Moscow, it would reach the South Pole. It would pass over all African countries, reach the South Pole, and even reach Australia, and so on. So, in fact, it can reach any point in the world, without exception. So this type of missile is considered a new weapon, and therefore it is not subject to any international agreements. In other words, there is no specific agreement regarding this type of missile, to limit the spread of this type of missile, or to prevent the possession of this type of missile, or even obligate countries to report tests and experiments related to this missile, as is the case, for example, with ballistic and nuclear missiles, and so on. So Russia took advantage of this opportunity, developed this missile, and pay close attention that Russia announced the beginning of the development of this missile. As an idea, in 2018. Today, after 7 years, you announce the success of the test, meaning you announce achieving this goal. You reached the technology. Everyone was saying it was impossible for Russia to reach this technology. Everyone was saying it was impossible for the world, for any country in the world, to reach this technology. So what is the most important and strongest feature of this missile? It's nuclear powered. Which means that a small amount of fuel is capable of keeping this missile in the air, possibly for days. It's somewhat similar when we talk, for example, about nuclear submarines. These nuclear submarines can stay underwater in the depths of the seas for months or even years, thanks to this nuclear engine. So Russia has applied almost the same technology to the cruise missile. Now, as soon as this missile is detected, it flies near the airspace of a country, meaning any country in the world. This makes that country live in fear. And now, it acts as a deterrent against that country. So after the world used to monitor the movements of the American aircraft carrier, which, if it approached a certain area, if it headed toward a certain area, you would find that area entering a cycle of fear and speculation, and so on, that there is a possible American strike. This is similar to what's happening in Venezuela today. So after the world was living in fear, when an American aircraft carrier is spotted nearby or heading to an area close to it, today he will have to monitor the Russian Burevestnik missiles, because at any moment they could quickly change their course to enter this country's airspace and thus strike a target inside this country. The announcement of this missile was truly a huge shock for America, because today, just so everyone knows, America's air defense system is specifically designed to repel and intercept attacks coming from the North Pole. I mean, in America, they used to say that Russia, with all these ballistic missiles they have, along with their naval capabilities and so on, they are only able to strike American territory through the Arctic. So they placed all their defensive systems focused in front of the North Pole, meaning in the northern part of America. But now, with the Russians having this technology, everything has changed. All the defensive plans America had have been thrown out the window. Why am I saying this? Because this missile is capable of flying for days, as I said, at least. According to this test, for 15 hours, so it is capable of entering American airspace from the south. It could enter from Texas, it could enter from Florida, it could enter from California. I mean, it could enter from any state inside America. So, just so everyone knows about this missile. Cruise missiles in general are like drones. They can be launched, as I said, in a certain direction, and after flying for a while, their course can be changed toward another different target. Other regular cruise missiles, of course, the conventional ones that run on regular fuel can't maneuver much, because that makes them consume more fuel, which affects their range. But this Russian missile has the advantage of running on nuclear fuel, so it automatically solves this problem. Just so everyone knows, it's also a missile. It's supersonic, so current air defense systems can't intercept it, not only because of its speed, but also its incredible maneuverability. So today, announcing them in Russia was a shock to America, because now America is forced to deploy air defense systems in every state with the same level of threat. This means that America now has to double the budget for creating the Golden Dome that Trump recently announced. And despite that, of course, it will be difficult for it to intercept these hypersonic missiles. So here, pay close attention to an important point that everyone should notice. This missile that was successfully tested, this missile is generally good, but first, no one knows the production cost of this missile right now. For example, the American Tomahawk missile costs the United States $2 million per missile. Today we are talking about a missile with new technology, with nuclear technology, with advanced technology, so no one knows what the production cost will be. Will it be $3 or $4 million or even more? That means its cost will definitely be high, but pay close attention here. Even with this high cost, its role will be very effective in future wars. Russia, it won't use this missile, which is expensive, to strike tanks or to hit military trucks or to attack American cities or American military installations or anything like that. No, absolutely not. Russia will leave these targets to fighter jets and multiple ballistic missiles, of which Russia owns hundreds of thousands, spread across the vast Russian territory. So Russia will use these new missiles only to strike and destroy American air defense systems. Meaning, despite the high cost of the missile, the target will be much more valuable. When these American defense systems are struck, other Russian missiles, whether conventional, nuclear or otherwise, will rain down like a storm on the American states. Now this is the dangerous matter that made experts in America sound the alarm after Russia announced it had acquired this missile. This might make it reconsider many issues, maybe even reconsider the provocations happening today. That's on one hand. On the other hand, this missile has not entered service yet. The Russian army hasn't received it yet. Now it will enter the production phase after what? Under this plan, it will be with the Russian army. In 2027, here, a real question arises. A real question about what the world will face after 2027. As I have explained to you in many episodes, all the military deals, all the military preparations, all the military programs, industrial and so on, heading toward the year 2028, all the armies of the world are preparing for the date of 2028. What is this date? What are they waiting for in 2028? Is it the date of the Great War or what? So here we should also pay close attention, because there are some analysts who said that Russia announced this missile as a response to the talk about the possibility of giving Ukraine American Tomahawk missiles, but this is completely untrue. The development of this missile didn't happen overnight. Russia announced the idea of developing this missile, as I said, in 2018, 7 years ago from today, before all these conflicts. Today, it has been tested successfully. So the missile was prepared for something dangerous coming, something dangerous that had been planned for a long time. It was scheduled for a specific time, possibly 2028. So now, honestly, there is a shock for Trump, for America. I mean, Trump, who came this year with the air defense system, the Iron Dome, which he said would make America the safest country in the world. He said he would make it a fortress against all missile and air attacks. Shortly after that, Russia came with this missile. It wrecked America's whole project, threw it against the wall. It no longer has any use now, unless it was the opponent is weak, like Mexico, like Venezuela, like Colombia, something like that. But Russia now, maybe it's become very difficult for America. Putin today sent a strong message to Trump. He confirmed it to him today. With this new missile, it means that Russia is not a paper tiger. In fact, Russia is now a major global military power. Russia, even though it has been in the Ukraine war for more than 3 years, is still victorious. And it knows very well what to strike with. It knows exactly what weapons and technologies to use inside Ukraine. You can see that it doesn't use all its cards. It strikes with a specific weapon and at the same time announces that it has something even stronger. Today, Putin is making it clear that Russia is not a paper tiger, despite Trump's recent comment. Putin says that it has weapons that can destroy all Western capitals, from Paris and London and Berlin all the way to Washington. This means a sign that Russia is not a country that bows down. Russia will not submit. If the West is planning a major war against Russia and waiting for the right moment to separate China from Russia and break their alliance so the war can start with today's Russia, they respond that they are ready for this war. The Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, what did he say recently? Recently, he just said that Russia will collapse soon because it is suffering from a shortage of troops and money. Then came the Russian response. This response, that even if it really was suffering from a shortage of troops or funds and so on, it is still capable of burning everything to the ground, so it doesn't collapse. Of course. Anyone waiting for Russia to collapse today is waiting for an illusion. What's strange today, and with this we'll end today's episode, is that President Trump made a statement after Russia announced the test of this new missile. What did he say? He said that America has the best nuclear submarine in the world and that it's moving near the Russian coasts. He meant that America doesn't need missiles with that range and those capabilities and so on. It has nuclear submarines near Russian coasts capable of striking Russian territory. I mean, it's a strange statement, a statement that came. Is this really a convincing response to the Russians? There's a well-known Moroccan proverb which I believe means all Arabs, including those in Saudi Arabia, know this proverb. It says that the one who can't reach the bunch of grapes says it's sour. So I think this proverb really applies. Today it's also about Trump. Actually, the Russian response was shocking for America. Shocking, because first of all, before anything else, Russia was ahead in reaching this technology before America, despite the huge difference in funding allocated for technology, military development, and so on. The second thing is that Russia achieved its goal. Everyone was saying this was impossible to achieve. Even America had a similar program and stopped it because they came to the conclusion that it was impossible, that there would be a positive outcome in this regard. And the third thing is also shocking because Russia now has very great capabilities that it didn't have before. Due to the war in Ukraine, it can now strike any target in the United States and has gained military experience, among other things. So honestly, the world is changing very quickly. And honestly, I don't know if this new Russian announcement will bring the date of the major war closer or postpone it to another time. So answer us in the comments below this video and subscribe now. Hit the like button. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. See you next time.